Okay, for this video we're going to be looking at combining like terms. Combining like terms. Before we really start combining any terms, we need to go through a couple definitions. Our first definition is a variable. Now, a variable is a letter that represents a number. So it's a letter that represents a number. That letter could be any letter chosen. It could be X, which is a really common one, or N, which is another common one, or it could be S, or Q, or R, but it's just going to be a letter that's representing some number. Okay, our next word is a coefficient. And a coefficient is a number that appears before a variable. So a coefficient is a number that appears before the variable. So if I say I have 3x, the 3 is going to be our coefficient here. The 3 is what appears in front of the variable. What that's telling us is that there are 3 times whatever x is. So there are 3 of whatever x is. So if x is a number, there's 3 times whatever that number is. If x is an item, there's 3 times whatever that item is. Okay, let's look at this example here. So, I have 3 gnomes, and I'm going to add to that 5 gnomes. So I have 3 gnomes, and I'm going to add to that 5 gnomes. The gnomes in this situation are going to represent our variable. What I can do is if I have 3 plus 5, I can add my coefficients together here, the 3 and the 5, and I will get 8. And I have 8 what? I have 8, whoops, well, that didn't work. I have 8 gnomes. Okay, I can do the same thing, but replace my gnomes with a variable. So if I have 3 x's, and I add to that 5 x's, I can go ahead and add my coefficients together, 3 plus 5, that's 8, so I have 8 x's. Okay, let's look at another example here. This time, I have 2 gnomes, I'm going to add to that 2 gnomes, and then I'm going to add 3 sloths. So when I'm looking at this, I should be able to see, I have 2 different types of things here. I have my gnomes, but then I have something completely different, which in this case are sloths. So when I go to combine my like objects here, can I combine my gnomes with my sloths? Because they're completely different things. I can't. So what I'm going to end up doing is I can only combine what are alike. So I can combine my 2 and 2 gnomes. So I'm going to end up having 4 gnomes here. So 4 gnomes. And now I need to add to that my sloths. Well, I only have 3 of them. And so I end up with 4 gnomes and 3 sloths. And I can't combine any more than that because they're completely different items. So now looking at this example, I have 3x plus 5x plus 6y. So now we're looking at actual variables here instead of gnomes and sloths. I can only combine my terms that are alike. So in this case, I have my x's that are the same, and then I have my y's. So looking at this, I can only combine my 3x and my 5x, which equals 8x, and I can't combine my y's with anything. So I'm just going to end up with 6y. And that's everything I can do. I can't do anything more than that. So I'm going to end up with 8x plus 6y. Again, when we're combining variables or combining like terms, we can only combine the terms that have the same variable. So I can't combine or add together or subtract any x's or y's because they're different letters. Okay, those letters represent something completely different from each other. So they can't be added or subtracted together. So looking at my example here, I have 3 plus 11y plus 5x minus 2y plus 4y. I want to combine all of my like terms. I want to combine every variable that can go together. So looking at this, I have to start looking and seeing what different variables I have. So I can say I have a 3 here with nothing, a 3 all by itself. Because it has no variable, it's sort of its own thing. So it can't be combined with anything else in here because everything else has a variable. I up next have a plus 11y. So I'm going to look and see what other y's I have. I have a minus 2y and a plus 4y. And then last but not least, I have a plus 5x. And there aren't any other variables that are x's. So again, it's all by itself. So now when I go to combine like terms, I start in alphabetical order. So the first thing in my alphabetical order would be x's. So I'm going to combine all my x's. Well, in this case, I only have a 5x. So that's going to come down on its own. Now I'm going to bring together all of my y's. So I have a plus 11y minus 2y plus 4y. And then I have a 3 all by itself. And that 3 is positive, so I'm just going to add 3 there. Now, I have everything together. Now I need to start combining. So I can't combine anything with x because it's all by itself, but I can combine all of my y's together here. 11 minus 2 plus 4. So let's go with 11 minus 2 first. So 5x plus 11 minus 2 is 9, so 9y. Bring everything else down. And now I have a positive 9 plus a positive 4, which in this case is a positive 13y. Now looking at this, I see, okay, I have an x all by itself, the y is all by itself, the 3 without anything all by itself, so there's my answer. Nothing else can be combined here. Okay, so for my last example, it's a long one. I have 5x plus 7y plus 8z minus 2x plus 3y plus 5 minus c. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start grouping together anything that have the same variable. So I have a positive 5x here, and I'm going to look, do I have any other x's? I have a minus 2x there. No other x's. So I'm going to go to my next one. I have a plus 7y and a plus 3y. Those can be grouped together. Anything else? So a plus 8z and a minus z. And then a plus 5 all by itself. So the first thing I want to do is I want to rewrite this with all of my like terms grouped together. So I'm going to start in alphabetical order. X comes first. So 5x. And my minus 2x next. Okay, those are my x's. Now I'm going to go with my y's. So plus 7y plus 3y. Now I'm going to look for my z's. I have a plus 8z minus z. And then I'm done with z's, so I left anything without a variable, my plus 5. Now I can go through and start combining or bringing together all of my like terms. So I can combine my 5x minus 2x, my 7y plus 3y, my 8z minus z, and then my 5. So let's start on the left here. 5x minus 2x, so 5 minus 2 is 3. So 3x. Next with my y's, my 7y plus 3y, 7 plus 3 is 10, so plus 10y. Next, I have an 8z minus z. I have to keep in mind here that because there's no coefficient with the z, that coefficient is going to be a 1. If there's not ever a coefficient in front of it, it's just a 1. So I can combine those now. 8 minus 1 is 7, a positive 7, so plus 7z. And then bring down my plus 5. It's all by itself. And there's my answer.